like very brief introductions about who you are, physically where you are, and why you're on the phone call.
Brilliant.
I'll start. My name is Ilana, and I'm physically in Germany. I've just been in Sweden, Greece, and I'm heading to the Netherlands. I've also been in Spain, so I'm all over the place. And I'm on the phone call because I've been working with ASHA for the last 7 years, and Zabani told me about the potential for creating this innovation hub, and it made all of the lights inside me light up, and so I said I'd love to be part of the conversation. That's me.
Hooray! I'm Luke, and everyone here is my friend, and I've been to the ASHA Centre like 4 or 5 times, and I love the ASHA Centre and think it's a beautiful, rare, precious place with wonderful people. And last time I was there on a Think Future camp, Zabanu and her friend from the States came to meet us, and they talked about this idea for some kind of innovation hub, and I got very excited because I'm really interested in spaces and places that help beautiful ideas that are needed in the world to grow. And I'm in Brighton. I'm at my friend Toby's house.
Hi, Toby. Thanks,
thanks, Toby, for the laptop.
Mark, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mark. I'm physically at the ASHA Centre where I work, and I'm tuning into this conversation so that I can help us understand what we're going to try and get out of the time that we'll have together when we all come together here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Nice. Stephanie?
Yeah, so I'm Steph. I'm currently based in London. I'm an active participant of the Teach for Startup community, and we've been talking about innovation hubs for quite a while now, so I'm quite interested in seeing what unfolds, how I can help personally, and just see what happens.
Wonderful.
I can go as well, so it's Malik here. I'm based in London. I'm also part of Teach for Startups, launched that initiative back in October last year, which is really an online global community around redesigning organizations and startups. That's grown to a large number of people, and I guess I see 2 things happening in the world today. So I see a global membrane being built at a digital level, and I see these local or hyper-local hubs emerging around the world. So I'm also talking with other places, like there's a place in Rotterdam I'm engaged with, and I think that this is the future about bridging those local hubs with the global membrane together and allowing us to share the work and effort needed to move forward in society as a whole. So I think that this is great to hear about another physical place, love to be involved, to facilitate and host workshops during that session. My background is business and products, and I've lived abroad all over the world for the last 15 years.
Amazing. And are you both going to be there between the 11th and the 14th?
I guess the answer to that question will probably come at the end of the call.
This phone call. Okay, great. Thank you. And last one was Ivan, who I think you can probably type. He is typing. We can't hear you, honey. I'm really sorry. Shall I try to introduce you? Okay, I'm not sure if he's typing, but if he is, okay. Okay, great. I'm going to try to introduce you. Okay. So I met Ivan a couple of years ago. I was running a leadership program in Greece, and he was an incredible participant. And as far as I know, that since then and before then, he has dedicated his life to becoming a facilitator, transformational leader, being heavily involved in social innovation, learning and training as much as he can. And so naturally found himself at the ASHA course, at the ASHA Centre on a program with Luke, who I also met when Luke was a participant on a course that I ran. And so I got phone calls from both of them when they were together. at the ASHA Center. And I'm guessing that Luke and Ivan have made good friends and connections, and that is how Ivan got onto this phone call. How did I do?
Yeah, and I wanted to say I got to this call because I know Luke for about 9 months now, maybe something like that.
Okay, amazing. Lucky us.
Hooray!
Yeah. I thought I should just start just so we're on the same page, because I wasn't intending to host the call. So I just want to understand, what is the expected purpose of this call, and then what do we want the purpose to be? So maybe Luke, you could go. I see a finger up in the distance.
Mm-hmm. So I, right from the beginning of when Zabanu, in her very visionary, very inviting kind of way, sort of introduced this idea of the Innovation Hub Theatre / Academy place. It was very exciting, but I'm a very collaborative person, so I just like giving my solution and being like, this is the best solution. I like to work with people to co-create solutions. That sounds familiar, doesn't it, Alana? My instant reaction is like, God, I've got amazing friends who are passionate about these kinds of things. They're working on these kinds of things. And so that's why I made the Facebook group. And slowly people started coming from different places, people who know ASHA quite well. And some people like Malik, who I think is doing very similar inspired kind of work and working in innovation hubs, and Stephanie. And yeah, so I just thought, I didn't want it, but I just thought, firstly, knowing a little bit more about what the actual opportunity is with this innovation hub, like where is it at, how kind of fully formed is the sort of vision for it so far, and I think that's probably for Mark to say more about, and then just for us to sort of know each other really a little bit. I think that's an important thing too, and ultimately we can start to think in our heads, maybe, is there a place for me in this? Am I interested in kind of getting involved? And ultimately, do you want to come to the event that's happening at the ASHA Centre, where we'll get together and brainstorm really deeply about this project?
Amazing. Thank you.
Shall I just say something briefly there?
Yeah.
Which is that my understanding, Luke, is that we can ask ourselves two questions. The first is, how could offering you a space help you?
Can you say that again?
And the other is, how could us offering a space of this kind help you? How could it be useful? And the second is about ASHA's future. In a nutshell, it's how could the hub and ASHA work together? How could we form a partnership that kind of attracts to ASHA more of this kind of innovative thinking, and how we can apply it and turn it into a kind of sustainable program of what we want it to be. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand. And so what would you say, Mark, would be the ultimate, like, what would, as far as I know, we've all got until, I don't know what time it is now, we've got another 35 minutes. I don't know what time zone I'm in, but it's 5 o'clock, that'll be 5 o'clock my time. I think that's 4 o'clock your time. So what would you say would be a success for this call? Marky?
Sorry, Lana, did you ask me a question?
Yeah. What would a success for this call be?
Sorry, did you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it would be getting some basic answers to those two questions, so that when we come together in July, we're ready to go.
And ready to go for you means ready to basically design what the next steps are, strategy, come up with a purpose, all of those things.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, amazing. Fantastic.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything, Stephanie or Malik, you guys want to add?
Yeah, I think it would be useful for you to outline his greater vision for the hub itself, and that will certainly help clarify one of the questions Mark asked about how can ASHA help and contribute, and how does it benefit both?
Yeah.
So just to echo that, yeah, I think those are all good questions. I'm really curious to get to know each of you a bit more first. I feel, connecting on that personal level would be really helpful. I'm curious in terms of what people feel is their passion, maybe to share that at the personal level. And then, yeah, I'd love to hear if there's any vision around what ASHA would like to do. And I'm also very happy to share some thoughts around a local park. And, but I really kind of get back to know you guys better and understand ASHA.
Wonderful. Ivan, I trust that if you need to say something, you'll type it in. It's very nice having a smiley photo of you at the thing. Sweet. So my sense is that because everybody's on slightly different pages and everybody's already got, Mark is there full time. I've been working with ASHA for a long time. Luke's kind of just arrived. You guys are new in the picture. Ivan is a big collaborative fan. That there's just a sense of get everybody on the same page story. And I feel like that comes with two things. One, obviously finding out who is on this phone call. But I think the other thing is even understanding what the opportunity that we're talking about is, because every time it's described slightly differently. So is this ASHA wants to set up an innovation hub that belongs to ASHA? Is it a completely separate entity? Is it us that would be setting it up, or is it that would be serving us? Or is all of that up for grabs, and actually the opportunity is there's a building, and we collectively will dream up what is possible to do with the building. Yeah.
Can I just answer that quickly?
Yeah.
From our point of view, any of those are possible.
Okay. So maybe.
What is the most effective outcome for everybody?
Okay.
I'd like to just be open and transparent here and just share that the second one echoes better with me personally.
Which one was that, Malek?
Which one was that?
The second one was where we just have a building and we can do pretty much what we want with it and design it and create together. That feels pretty powerful place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really think the way this is created will end up inevitably being what is created. So I think if it's a solution that's built, by a person or a very small group of people for other people, it won't be as inspiring as if it's co-created by the people that it's for. So yeah, I think it would be an interesting experiment to. I would love to explore ways that we can kind of, share the story as it's developing a little bit, and kind of create some simple way for people who are interested in this to kind of give their thoughts on the story as it kind of unfolds as we meet up. We can kind of gather some visual sort of outcomes from the brainstorming and stuff and share those quite widely. Get some thoughts from people who've been at ASHA. I'd also like to explore our ideas of who this is primarily to benefit. Is it mostly for young social entrepreneurs at the startup stage, for example? I know the theatre space is a little bit separate.
Yeah, and so just as a sense check, because I feel like I'm holding all of you, and then I just remembered that I'm a person too. So I feel like there's a little bit of if the opportunity is, Mark, and this is probably for you, if the opportunity is, sorry, there's somebody talking in the background. Is there any way we can turn them down? Turn down a person. You know who it is?
Sorry, Lani, you just cut out there. Can you repeat that?
It just sounds like somebody's talking very closely into a microphone in the background. I don't know if somebody's got a girl in their room.
I think it's like you, Mark. Is there someone having a conversation in the office? Maybe you can mute your microphone. It's at the top. If you move your cursor around, there's a mute.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Sorry about that. So for me, the first, and please check me if I'm wrong.
Steve, can you help me mute my microphone?
Oh.
So, Mark, if you move your cursor around on the screen, some controls should appear, and at the very top should be a mute microphone button. There's 6 buttons up at the top, and the second one. That's it. Yay! Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I just want to sense check like that. For me, it's about this conversation. The ultimate thing would be what is the invitation, and being really clear on the invitation. Because questions like who is this for, who's this going to serve, it's like I don't even know if the invitation is that broad. So if the invitation is let's get a group of people together for the 11th to the 14th, and the opportunity here is that we're going to have a building, and that collectively we're going to co-create a vision for the people there and beyond. That is an amazing invitation. But the other opportunity or invitation could be ASHA wants to have this building and they want some input into the best way to do it. Or every variation in between. I'm aware that a lot of people on this call are very much in the co-creation world, but I also know that the way that ASHA was built was with some incredibly powerful leadership, not in a co-creation story. And so I just want to acknowledge that we actually have those are two slightly different routes, which is kind of us as contributors, maybe with one of us in a leadership role and the others kind of very much consulted with, and the other is in a full co-creation system. And I don't feel like that's certainly not up to me to choose, but I definitely think that is a decision within the ASHA Centre. Hold on 2 seconds, Malik, which is for Mark and the ASHA Centre to choose, because Lukey, I know that your way of doing it, you've automatically gone the co-creation route. I had the exact same conversation with Zubania, and she asked me to lead this thing. So those are two very, very different ways to bring, sorry Mark, it's a big sigh. And I just want to acknowledge that there are different routes to bringing something to life, instead of there being frustration about why is it this or not that. It's like, let's really, really understand what the actual invitation is. And if it's a full open invite, amazing. We can pitch for co-creation, we can pitch for leadership, we can pitch for something in between. But if actually that's already predetermined, I think it would be good to know that. Instead of Luke, you assuming one way, me assuming another, Ivan assuming another, and Stephanie and Malik assuming another. That's my pedestal speech. Yeah. You need to unmute, mark your mic. And I know Malik wanted something.
Yeah, great questions.
Mikey, will you unmute your mic? Sorry, I'm using your nickname on a professional call.
Mark, at the top, you need to press the mute button again. The same button you pressed before, Mark, to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Cool.
Perfect.
It's good. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I would love to maybe just, to just understand if anybody has an answer to that. My guess would be the closest person to an answer would be Mark, but that you might also not know the answer just yet.
Look, our intention is, generally our mission at ASHA is to create opportunities and to offer a space for people to experience inspiration and connection and to discuss good ideas. So it is open. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's those two questions that I said.
Oh no, we've lost
perspective. You know, what can the hub offer ASHA?
Yeah. And in the creation, so is the creation of the hub.
No, just put very simply, the other half of it is what can the hub, to put it simply or crudely, what can it offer ASHA, or how can we work together? How can there be synergy between a hub and what ASHA's doing, so that we both benefit?
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. Malik, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I think what you asked as a question is really key here, in terms of what is the agreed intention, and I think the agreed intention needs to be written. It's really important that we start from that particular perspective, and then we can move forward. In terms of the other things that are around a single vision or a co-created vision, I actually see that we can do both. So we can facilitate a place where individually we can bring our visions, and together we make it a shared vision. So we can do both individually bring something that we really want to see, but we can move to a shared state. And that's quite powerful because, as we know, when we do co-creation or shared space, we end up in a place that none of us would have got to by
ourselves. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sorry, and to echo on that, I think it needs to be that particular decision needs to be made clear right from the beginning so that we know the basis on which we're building.
So, Stephanie, could you give me an example of what that invitation could look like in a sentence or two, or between the two of you?
I can. So, so when somebody launches a program or project or business, they would clearly outline their intention for doing this. So it could be our intention for the Innovation Hub is to provide a physical building where we are opening the space for somebody to come in and co-create a vision for the use of that building, right? Or it could be we are opening an Innovation Hub where we would like innovations to take place. And the second one is that they're owning it more and they're deciding on how the space is to be used. The first one is they're providing physical space, and the mind space is that open. So having that intention written down will actually help a lot in terms of the direction that we go forward. So in other words, what is the expectation from them, and what is the initial starting point? Are they offering us a building, or are they offering us an innovation hub? In other words, that they already have expectations on how the space would be used.
Amazing. Yeah, so I have an automatic response, which is probably a very patent response, so I'm happy for it to be completely corrected, which is my question. Evan and Luke and I have just been through an intensive experience of this, which is who, even within co-creation, who has ownership of the system? So that doesn't mean that person has decision-making, power, control, but there is somebody who is holding that, who is effectively leading the co-creation, just so that it doesn't, until there's a more co-created system that holds the whole system. So I suppose for me that would be the question, and if that is Luke or Zabanu or Mark or Adrian or me or one of us or somebody else.
Well, I mean, you're free as far as we're concerned. So it's your hub, and as long as there's sufficient synergy with ASHA and what we're doing, then there could be a long-term relationship that comes out of it. But I certainly can't. I certainly won't say to you that we need it to be this way and we need to brand it ASHA or anything like that, because that's just not the case.
So there's a real freedom here.
Yeah.
And an extraordinary opportunity.
Great.
As far as I think, as far as I know. Okay, Luki, you wanted to say something?
Thank you. It's exciting. I'm happy. That's not the thing I was going to say. Yeah, just something just to add. Sorry, it's sort of coming halfway through. Just a thought about a thing for this call is I'd also love to end this call with some. Just what are the questions that we need to answer before the brainstorming retreat? For example, I think one for me would be regarding how we design the retreat. I don't think it needs to be very complex or a whole big deal, but I think there's probably, we need to have some kind of way of just bouncing ideas and co-creating that retreat itself a bit. Yeah, how do we design the retreat? So it may be just a Facebook group or something, but yeah.
One thing that might be useful initially is to work on a common set of values between the hub and the ASHA Center, and start co-creating from that.
Thanks. Amazing. Okay, so my sense is, and at sometimes, yeah, Mark, was that you?
Well, simply, in response to that, Stephanie, we have a value statement at ASHA. I don't know if a satisfactory forward with your idea would be for us to share that and tell us if you're happy with it. If you want to create your own values, you let us know what works for you.
Oh, that would be incredible. I think that would be very useful.
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Hello?
have you guys been to the ASHA Centre?
No.
Oh, how exciting! You have to come.
I've heard of
the hub. Come anyway.
No, it began on the 14th of August and
Wow.
closed on the 10th of September.
Okay, so can I just check? And sometimes these conversations are good, even if it sounds like we're repeating stuff that you might know. I feel like just to be on the same page is probably the single most important thing at the time, for now, for me anyway, is that there is an amazing place called the ASHA Centre, and those people within it are wanting to buy a building that is used as an innovation hub for social leaders and conscious leaders and people who are working to build a more conscious society. And we are here to answer the question on the 11th to the 14th about what is the best possible way that house and home can be used, how can we best fill it, how can we make the most of it for ourselves as individuals and all those we're connected to, how can this be a global thing and connect all of the other hubs that are doing similar things, as well as how can it be of service to ASHA so ASHA can continue to fulfill its purpose. And that the opportunity is actually to dream up how can we really co-create a co-creation hub that is of service to us all and all those that we serve. Is that fair?
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like that's the invitation, because then we come from the 11th to the 14th and we basically get to dream wildly together. And yes, we'll need to know what the limitations are, the practicalities, the finances and all of that stuff. But I feel like let's start by co-creating an exquisite vision with whoever's there, and who can't be there, perhaps they can contribute in their own ways. So that from the, like as Luke said, that from the beginning this has got the collective dream in it, that it's not just one of us going, hey, I'm going to make this thing. Like this can just be a living example of the thing itself.
Yeah.
Responses?
Yes, I really like that. I'd love to see that written down somewhere.
Cool. Luke, were you writing that?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to write and feel present completely all the time. Okay. So sometimes I'll be quite delayed and like, typey. But yeah, loving it.
I'm happy to write that up, put it on the Facebook group, just so that there's a real clear invitation.
Great.
I'm also happy to do a first stab at a structure so people can tear it apart and rebuild it, just so that at least there's a loose container, like meal times and tea times and community building stuff that the agenda can be co-created within. So that we don't need to co-create the fact that we need to know each other's names and stuff. There's some stuff that can just go in. So how about I do that as a first stab tomorrow after, as soon as I can.
So on what the invitation is, kind of just what you said.
On the invitation. And I think as part of the invitation, people who are coming, I would love, just as Malik suggested, a sense of who these people are already. Whether it's what they're working on now, what they care about, just so that we can start having a sense of the impact it's already having, even just in the conversation.
Who these people are, the people being ASHA or us lot as well?
No, the individual, obviously ASHA, I think a little bit more about ASHA, but I really meant the individuals who are already connecting to the question.
Okay, cool.
Yes, Malik. Yeah?
Yeah. So just touching on the structure or layout for the 4 days, I just want to touch on the point that Luke said. I don't think that we need to overly structure it.
Yep.
I think it should be very free and open space. Maybe what we do is we have, time slots, and people who feel called to facilitate sessions can just select slot and facilitate a session in that slot. And there's a space then for also people to introduce themselves and share what they're working on as well. So I guess there's a mix of us coming individually, sharing who we are, and then doing some sessions together. Yep. Who would like to facilitate them. Some people would, maybe others won't. And then as we move forward, so something like that would be like really, really free and open. I don't think we need to plan it too much.
And what I think is that the people who actually feel called to one of the sessions ahead of time can announce them.
Yes.
So that people can start thinking about what's going to happen and where they would like to focus their energies.
And I think within a loose structure, that's the most liberating way to do it. But I also want to make sure that by the end of it, there's some way that we can contain what are the next steps, what are the roles and responsibilities, so that there is a sense of ownership and commitment from the individuals that are there, so that there's at least a strategy for how to move on. Okay, this all sounds
Amen.
very possible. Luke, did you want to say something?
Right, that's awesome. Malik, just to clarify, were you talking about a kind of open space style thing?
No,
And just using everybody's expertise and like having to make, if there's an expert in the room, it would be a shame to think that somebody else runs the whole session. I wanted to check one more thing then, Marky. Who is coming? How many, and are there any more spaces? Because this suddenly feels like a very privileged position to be in, rather than just like, oh, whoever feels like being at the ASHA Center for 3 days. It actually feels like people need to come with a real, like, a sense of purpose.
We've got space for up to 30 people, so it's simply a matter of how many committed people you think would be interested in coming.
Okay. And at the moment, how many people are coming?
But I mean, I think, so let me just add to that. I think in terms of having a successful focused process, maybe we need to, be quite modest about a first meeting like this.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I have the feeling that I have this kind of analogy of like aeroplanes. Like if you want to build an aeroplane that actually flies, like start small, because you can make one even out of a sheet of paper. So I think, yeah, the smaller our crew, the easier things like knowing each other, knowing the skills in the room, trusting each other, being on the same page and stuff will work. And I definitely learned that the hard change the future.
So, would say half a dozen people?
Yeah, that feels good. Oh no.
My sound was cutting out. So, I didn't hear what Luke said. What I was thinking of was, would half a dozen people?
On top of the ASHA crew?
I was thinking, just personally, that could work for me. I was thinking, depending on who's available, potentially up to maybe 10 plus the ASHA people. If like, I'm just thinking of the people in my mind who could bring so much and might be really interested. And probably in reality, a good few of them might not be available on those dates, but if they were, then maybe up to 10, I was thinking.
That's great, yeah.
Okay. So in terms of, I agree about keeping it small. I think that's the paper airplane analogy is wonderful. And on a personal level, I think my commitment would be I'd like to spend enough time on arrival to make sure we really know who we are, like who's in the room. That was the big lesson from last week that I don't think I needed to learn after 8 years, but we did anyway. And so, okay, so my commitments at the moment are writing up the vision so it's clear, so the invitation, as well as making a space for whoever's coming to just have a chance to really express who they are. I think the other thing I want to just check with Luke is, for my own sake, just because this feels important, I would find it quite difficult if somebody was there who just wanted to be there for the sake of it. I just want to make sure the people coming are coming for this, not because it's a nice thing to do. Sorry, did I just hit a thing? What happened, Malik and Stephanie?
We just love what you said.
Okay, good. It's very familiar.
Marek's been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Yeah, I got the mouse pad, I've got the backpack, I've got the hat, I've got my wallpaper. Okay, cool. So let me speak with Luke about what is the best way to put that together so it's a real clear invitation. And I also think the second an invitation is really clear, people can feel if they resonate with it or not. And that is also that helps find the right people, and I trust that the exact people who need to be there will be there. So
sounds great.
Yeah. Anything else? Do you want to add anything, anyone?
I was curious, are we going to have another chat before we go there?
I think, how about we send out the stuff that we need to, and then check in whether that's important. And in true style co-creation, like if I don't see that it is, and you do it, then obviously you're welcome to. So, like, let's all just feel welcome to do what we feel is needed. At the moment, I don't want to book that just yet until there's like a sense of at least movement from this point. Yeah, if that's okay with you.
Sounds good.
Luke.
Hello. Yeah, so shall we agree to use the Facebook event as the place where we continue talking, if we just to discuss all the things relevant to the event, if there is anything, just like you know, questions that we think we might like to explore, or any sort of refinements of ideas about how we might like to have the event. Just
yeah. I'd love that. I'd also love to mix it up with email, because I think there's something a little bit more personal about email, and that way the people who are coming, there's like at least a maintaining of a small community, even though we're doing everything transparently at the same time. I feel like when everything's on Facebook, there's intimacy that gets lost with the people who are actually committed.
So how would we make sure that important information isn't in sort of different places and sort of fragmented between two different places?
So my feeling is that you might, if you need to connect with someone on a one-to-one, that's fine. Just do it the way you feel is best.
Yeah.
But the results of what's happening should be posted in somewhere common. So Facebook group is probably not the best place because information gets lost. Maybe a Google Doc, Google Doc.
Wonderful. That, and then kind of I feel like maybe the less important stuff, not less important, like everything go on Facebook, but like let's assume that everybody's connected to Google Doc, because I feel like with Google Doc there's a sense of responsibility there as well. Like Facebook, I don't have to make any work. Like Google Docs, actually, like I'm engaging with something. Oh, the funny new technological world. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I only use Facebook for work and research and logistical stuff, and not socializing ever. But I'm happy with the Google Doc.
I'm afraid that you are one very, very lovely starfish amongst a very, very different species.
Yeah.
I've watched at least 4 videos about lions today on my way to working.
So we could do a pinned post in the Facebook event saying
exactly.
Doc.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go in a minute. I've got another call to host. Unexpectedly. Any last comments? It would just be good to get a sense check, maybe like a sentence or phrase sense check of like how things are now sitting with you.
One thing is, if you want the group chat to be saved, you need to save it before you close the Hangout.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So whatever is in there needs to be copy-pasted somewhere, if it's important.
Oh, how do I do this? Luke, could you do that and add it to the shared document thing?
But I didn't quite catch that.
Just to copy the chat we've had and add it to the minutes?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Stephanie. That's very good to know. Cool. Final thoughts, feelings?
Beautiful. Delighted. Thank you very much, guys. We're looking forward to welcoming you to ASHA.
Amazing. Thanks. Thanks, Mark, and the whole family for making this even a possible conversation.
Yay.
Woohoo! Yay. Luke, is that your response? That's good?
It's our pleasure. Thank you very much for being involved.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for inviting us and hosting the call and taking the notes. And yeah, it's been great to meet you guys here. Love to hear more about it, and very curious of what Phil knows.
What he said.
Wonderful.
What he said. Me too, what he said. Amazing. Ivan, I hope you're okay. I hope you're drinking beer in the sunshine somewhere and listening to our call. Sweet. Okay. Thanks, guys. I look forward to meeting you in person.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Yaya, for hosting. That was really lovely. And anyone add to the minutes or edit them. If I've misinterpreted what you said or dropped anything by accident, it's editable by anyone who has the link.
Okay, big hugs, what Ivan said. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.